Experience the performance of Lexus Racing, the thunderous V8 engine. The black and day-glow yellow Lexus RCF GT3, a blur of speed and adrenaline. The sheer force of acceleration. The physics-defying grip of the tires, the intensity of every corner, the precision of each maneuver. The sound of victory. Visit Lexus.com/motorsports to keep the thrill going.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. See ebaymotors.com.
Keep playing.
Welcome back to another episode of Eagles Weekly. Here are your hosts, Brett, Haas, Mac, and Jack.
Do you want to
How we feeling, fellas?
Okay. Too late now.
Brett is live. Welcome back to Eagles Weekly, episode 8. I'm one of your hosts, Brett Ryder, joined today by international marketing guru Mac Hutchinson's of BC football fans. Just messed up his name already. That's how I do. We also got the hypest hype man, Andrew Haas himself, and as well our ACC athlete. So bad. ACC athlete, Jack Cyberlick. Boys, how we doing?
Feeling great, guys. Feeling
Awesome.
Absolutely great.
Great weekend of football. Great weekend.
Haas, you look happy.
I mean, listen, I got what's there not to be happy about? I'm breathing oxygen. I am
Sure are.
I'm alive. BC Eagles are 3-1. Alumni Stadium is back.
Let's go.
And man, listen, another opportunity this weekend, right? I mean, it's back at home, so I'm fired up.
What a win, too. What a
Huge
win. Emotional. It was just, I mean, that's got to be like at least since what? I mean, probably since the initial Red Bandana game. That's got to be like the program's like signature win, right?
Since USC for the Red Bandana game, that's got to be. I mean, obviously, I think was the Dracovic comeback game a Red Bandana game too?
No.
It wasn't.
Oh, yeah. It was.
That's pretty exciting, but I mean, definitely since USC, that was, I mean, it doesn't get better than that, guys. That was incredible. Just the fans itself.
I was going to say, describe that win in one word. What is it?
Magical.
Defining.
What? Hey, we were saying this. We were saying this before we started recording. I wasn't in the press box. I was down on the. I was down there in the elements with the
Jack and Haas were in the elements on the front lines. Me and Brett were in the cozy booth, so we can't really say that much.
I got two questions. My first one, Haas, what's your one word that you would describe it as?
I want to say launch pad.
Okay.
That's one word. That might be two words, but I'm using it as one word.
Well, like hyphenate it though. Launch pad.
That counts.
Yes, one word. So
it's
a phrase.
I should be having good grammar on here, but yeah, I'm going to go with Launchpad. That's my
fine.
sentiment of the game.
I accept as your friend and fellow co-host. I accept that response.
Thank you.
Jack, did any freshmen steal your seat? I know that was a bit of a concern for you last week.
Well, I don't know if they were freshmen, but I did get to my seat about 5-10 minutes before kickoff, and it was already my there's no hope getting to my seats down the third row. So I had to go up a little further in section K, which is still good. It was pretty much the student section like I predicted, but yeah, it was a super fun atmosphere. Nice and in the elements, rain, cold, football weather. It was awesome. So glad I was in the stands for that one.
Did they make an official announcement on the number of students? Because it was like definitely over 6,000. If Duquesne was 6,000, I think
it was way more than Duquesne for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Had to have been more.
The most I've ever seen. I mean, it stretched from like basically that 35 run all the way into the end zone, and that was like the whole end zone. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bill in the press conference was like, I think it was more than 6. He was like, it's either 7,000 or 8,000 we had there tonight. So again, I don't think they gave a ticketed number. They brought it up, but it was.
Yeah.
You could feel it. You could feel it.
Which is crazy because that's like 80% of the student body. It's insane.
What other school has that? What other school has that output? Just out of curiosity, right? Like you think about the Alabamas of the world where you see, that's all they show on TV are the students, right? Like,
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for like consistently the majority of the undergrad going to these football games. And this started, by the way, guys, last year before Bill O'Brien. I feel the students last year, actually, I would say the last couple of years.
I would say it goes back to like 2021. I would say when Jack was there.
So impressive though about it. It's that loyalty and then that grassroots, and then for the students to always show up and to finally get rewarded, especially after last night. I mean, Saturday night, just staying that whole game in the rain, standing the entire time, like we're talking about, before the show, just for them to get that win and then for them to be able to rush the field and celebrate for Wells. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, guys. That's
so without jumping ahead, what's your guys' knee-jerk reaction about storming the field?
You get 2 thumbs up for me. I know there's obviously everyone critiques anytime anyone rushes the field. It's got to be a ranked opponent. All this, I think for Wells Crowler especially. I mean, anytime you win, basically representing the American hero that Wells Crowler is, you get to rush the field. That's my take on it. I don't know what you guys think, but I think if you win under that name, you get to rush the field, and especially with all the momentum and energy with this program. After that win, how they won at the end there just was, I think, super rewarding, and the fans get to deserve that.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. I'm almost always pro storming the field. If you think about if you're a student at an FBS school for 4 years, you probably go to 20 home games. You never know, you never know what kind of games you're gonna get. So to have like a game with like that kind of magnitude with the Red Bandana game, and just to have it end the way it did, it's fun. Like they're college kids, it's fun. I find it very hard to agree with people that are like staunchly anti field storming and something like that. So I'm pretty pro, of course, and when they do it in a safe fashion where they allow the opposing team to leave, stuff like that. But it's it's a fun sort of atmosphere. So I'm very pro field storming.
Let the students be students, baby.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Absolutely.
Right? And I was, you're talking about letting the other team get off safely, Jack. I was quite impressed by the restraint by Michigan State players after a game of such, magnitude. And not to say that you'd expect them to get in any altercations with students, but when it's that heated all the way until the end and you get swarmed by a bunch of college students from the opposing team, like sometimes bad things happen there. So I was very impressed by their restraint and just getting off the field in like a obviously they had to get a lot of help from security and team ops that were surrounding, but
Yeah.
Just wanted to note that was impressive to me. I don't know if it should be, but it was.
No,
Yeah.
well, that's tough too because they have to cross the whole, like BC like leaves out the one exit, like Michigan State has to cross the entire width of the field. So when I saw them leaving, I kind of thought the same thing. Like, oh, like they had this game in their hands and they just lost it. And no way, yeah. So I agree. It was good. I'm glad nothing happened after the game. Nothing bad.
The fans get so much props for that whole before the game. The tailgate was incredible. The energy was amazing on campus, but also the post game, like you guys were saying, even after they rushed the field, how they even like huddled in the corner right where the ACC huddle was doing, and just to have that energy in the background. I mean, it's so incredible just for fans to see that, for recruits to see that on national television was so big for the program. To just see that energy and excitement with, to go along with the program. So, props for the fans for strategically knowing, what it's all about to kind of show off your school.
Yeah.
And also, like, who gives a flying fuck? Like, it was an emotional win. It was a great win. If they want to storm the field, let them storm the field. Like, I never understand when people are critiquing schools for being happy that their team just won a big game. Like, who gives a shit? I think what a perfect moment to have it. And it's like the 10-year anniversary of the first game too. I know it was the 11th game, but 10-year anniversary of it. This game means a lot to a lot of people. It's a very celebratory moment. A game that they probably would have lost any other year too, right? Like we're starting to see like a different type of team, and I feel like it's just a culmination of all of that. The excitement from the fans, a celebration of a hero, and a celebration of really a new regime. Like, this is a new football team. This is a game that they probably would have lost by 14 any other year. I thought it was just amazing, and just the fact that the environment was what it was, and the fact that the game went how it went. How could you not storm the field? It almost feels like it would be, and obviously we're biased. It would be so anticlimactic if they didn't storm the field after how that transpired. To have a touchdown with a minute, that touchdown, first of all, that touchdown was out of nowhere. It was amazing. And then to have an interception in the end zone to seal it, how can you not expect these kids to
in the end zone of your student section?
Yeah.
Right in front.
You'd have to be soulless not to storm the field after that. You'd have to any kid that didn't storm the field, they should have kicked them all out.
I will say, I want to say one thing, Brett, just to wrap up the storming the field thing. What was cool was even seeing on Twitter and on social media, when anyone started to critique the storming the field, everyone would come in and say, guys, this is for Wells, this is for the Red Bandana game. And it just really proves how amazing, this being the 11th Red Bandana game, how much, like, in college football, people are very aware. Like, it took a while, I think, for people to understand the story, but it's almost like everyone in college football now understands how big this Red Bandana game is. They know the story of Wells Crowler. So, again, it's just, how the university has been able to bring this game into all of its collegiate athletics has been amazing. And then, so I'd say, like, honestly, there was some, like, trolls out there talking about the storming field, but to be honest, most of it wasn't as much, because I think people really understand, just college football fans in general understand how big of a game this is and how meaningful a game this is. So I just want to say, again, Wells Crowler, what an incredible story. And it's so amazing now when you have a lot of the young students that are in college now that probably weren't even alive or don't remember 9/11, to tell this story every year is such a big deal. And again, so exciting that we got to show it on that sort of platform with that huge victory. It was incredible.
Yeah, love the bandana on the mic tonight too, Mac. Well done.
I think the Red Bandana game has gotten a lot more mainstream too.
Aren't the uniforms in college football the video game?
Yeah, finally, after like 3 updates, they put it in just in time.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool that they did it. I mean, I know people were waiting on it, but it's kind of cool that they waited the week of. That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, I wonder if that was intentional. I don't know. But,
I think it was. I think the school. Yeah. I think the school has. I think I think the school, each school approves and releases or gives like consent to like release whatever uniform. So I think it was like on BC's end that like they didn't release the bandana uniforms till right before. Which
that makes sense.
You play with them yet, Jack? You have.
I haven't yet. No, I've been. I just moved to this place 2 weeks ago, so it's been pretty busy. So I haven't gotten the chance to play in the Red Bandana uniforms yet. But
Southie Jack.
I'm itching.
Southie Jack.
Southie Jack. Yeah, L Street.
In terms of the game, right?
Yeah.
First half bad.
Tough.
Second half better. Then good.
Seriously.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
I mean, what they go? What was it? They started 3 and out, and then they marched down the field on their second possession. They fumbled inside the 10. Wasn't that it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Tough start. That's a really tough start.
Missed extra point.
Yeah. Jeez.
What was so frustrating about the first half was they were moving the ball. They were running it, especially to the outside throughout the whole game. They were able to run to the outside. So there's frustration on two fronts. Like some of the play calling, I don't know why they kept trying to go up the middle because they were having success on the outside. But and then of course, Trayshawn Ward with the fumble. That was such a huge play. But was, again, it goes to the resilience. Talking about the second half. I mean, even Trayshawn Ward himself, like Bill O'Brien talked about this in the post game conference, how he's super resilient and how he came back and had that huge touchdown immediately in the second half. And then for them to come out of that half immediately and to score 10 unanswered points right there in the first, I think it was like they got a fumble and then they kicked the field goal right off the kickoff. But then immediately when they got the interception on that second interception, I think it was Amari or Carter. I can't remember who got the second one. They're able to, on that first play, Trayshawn Ward to go down and score. That was such a momentum, an energy shifter right there, as Jaylen Brown would say. So just a huge change in momentum. And then after that, I think, it wasn't a lot of – they couldn't execute that well throughout the whole game. It felt like execution-wise, worst game of the year as far as execution. But it then came down to the defense. I mean, the defense executed every time there was an opportunity. 3 interceptions, and then we can talk even more into the players. But again, Donovan Ezraku, he's just he was so incredible, man. Against that freshman on the line for Michigan State. I mean, just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, I was really impressed. Yeah, I think. You think about the first half, right? And it's like, this thing could have really gotten away from us. And the defense, I think, twice stood on their heads and held them to 3 instead of 6 or 7. And I think that was why we won that game.
Yeah, I mean, they scored, they had 4 field goals. So that's 4 possessions where they could have gotten, 6 or 7. So yeah, that was huge. I think that, defense was massive, holding them, like, kind of the whole bend not break kind of thing, not giving up those big chunk plays, those big, not giving up touchdowns. I will say the offense, I felt like, I mean, I don't feel like this. I know they did. They left a lot of points on the field, I thought. I mean, you have the fumble in the first half. You get the recovery off the kickoff in the second half on the 6-yard line. You don't punch it in there. You get stuffed on the 1-yard line. So despite the lack of, balls going their way or whatever, like they could have scored a lot more points in this game, but to speak to what you guys talked about earlier, the resiliency with this team, it was impressive kind of despite all that they were still able to kind of come out on top on this one.
Tommy fumbled the ball twice too, right? Because he fumbled in the first half. That was him that fumbled it.
Oh, it was Trayshawn Ward. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I would think Tommy for the most part managed the game pretty well. No interceptions or anything. That one fumble in the second half, they recovered, which was also bizarre. I still never got clarification on that. It seemed like they recovered it in the end zone and reviewed it, and that was pretty obvious, but they didn't call it a touchdown. So, but again, they had
is that before they got stuff on the fourth?
That was before they got stuff on fourth and one.
Yeah, I couldn't even see what was going on down there because that was opposite.
Yeah, because I watched a replay last night, and it seemed like they recovered it, a clear recovery in the end zone, but then again they had to execute on fourth and one, and they had a chance to, and they didn't get it in. So, what was cool about that though in the presser, someone did ask about him, Bill O'Brien, on that play, and he said Boston College we're never gonna not go for it on fourth and one. So I thought that was pretty refreshing. Obviously you can critique that all you want and say, hey, just take the 3 points. But I think I agree with that energy and the momentum of that game. It was an obvious right call. I don't know if
it's a terrible play call.
Yeah, you could
football. That's what he said.
Yeah.
This is Boston College football. We don't go for field goal on fourth and one on the 1 goal, 1 yard line.
But yeah, you definitely can critique the play call though.
Yeah, the pistol look there. Wasn't a fan there.
I think he said that it was a good play call. They just executed their defensive scheme better, and we didn't execute it offensively. But he still likes the play call to this.
Okay.
I've just never liked fourth and I've never liked any in short and having your quarterback not just understand. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never really understood that. Like why not just put your center or your quarterback right up on the center and just have him either dive forward or whatever. But I guess like the running start thing, or you can see the field a little more, but I never understood putting yourself back 3 to 4 yards and putting yourself at a disadvantage.
I agree with you, Brett, but I have 2 things on that. I would say because they never play behind the ball like that, and he always, shotguns it to Tommy. I feel like because they don't practice that and they just don't play in that format. I think that was one reason. But also, I think in that situation, you're passing it off to Robichaux, right? But he didn't play all game. So that's a question mark I definitely have. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear about anything. I don't know if you guys were able to hear any rumblings on that, but it seemed like I haven't heard if he's injured or he just wasn't playing. I have no idea on that, but it seemed like there was a few situations in which this is clear Robichaux situation. And they were pretty much just going power Tommy, so that's just something to note, I guess.
Game winning drive. All right, let's rewind. After that, BC gets stuff that I think they move back to the 2 yard line or something. Whatever, it doesn't matter. They drive down 89 yards, kick a field goal.
18 plays, 89 yards, long drive.
Nine and a half minutes. 9.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
18 plays, 89 yards. Effectively killed the fourth quarter with that. Mm-hmm. Completely flipped the field too, right? Like that's the other thing too. If you go through on 4th and 1 from the 1 and don't get it, you're still in an advantageous spot because you're still going to get, if you stop them, you're still going to get the ball with good field position. Michigan State drives down. Credit to the defense again.
Big time.
For not giving up the touchdown, which probably would have effectively ended the game.
They were on the field for a long time. So to bend but not break there, that was huge.
Yeah, think about that. Yeah, good point. Think about that too. Up to them stopping them on that third down, they were on the field for 9 minutes. That's a long time to be on the field. They get the stop mainly because Childs just not great. That's okay though. So they get the field goal. BC gets the ball back. Game, lights out. When the touchdown happened, each of you, what was your reaction as it happened, after it happened? Like what was going through everyone's head?
I mean, first of all, I was super surprised they took a shot like that in that spot on 3rd and 2 when they were kind of just moving the ball like as they were, but then on 3rd and 2 just to take a shot downfield like they did, I was pretty surprised by that. And I remember thinking when I was looking at that ball, like that ball hung in the air for a really long time, It was I was pretty nervous there, but yeah, just when Bond catches it, runs it in, is unbelievable scenes in section K or section L. I think I moved to at that point, but yeah, yeah. So I was shocked, kind of pretty shocked by that they took that shot there, but yeah, unbelievable balls from the staff and from Tommy there.
Lewis Bond over 100 yards. It seemed like Bill O'Brien even said this post game. He was wide open on like every play. He was just getting open. For that play, I mean, that was just a huge. I mean, obviously a huge play, but again, you mentioned this, Brett. It seemed like 3 drives this defense kept them in this game. It's just so there was like multiple drives in which this defense kept them in this game to stay a tied game 16-16 for that momentous play to even happen. I'm just thinking back, especially it was like I think it was 10-6 Michigan State's up in that first half, and they're driving, and then Carter Davis picks it off. And that was huge. They're about to score and go up 2 scores. If they go up 2 scores, that's a game killer, right? That's an energy killer. And then again at the half, hold them to a field goal, so it's only 16-13 going to the half. And then again, right out of the gate in that second half, like I said before, to be able to get another pick by Amari Jackson after that kickoff fumble. I mean, for them to go 10 unanswered points in the second half. So this defense was huge last night. I mean, yes, there were some, plays they didn't execute on, but when it mattered most, that was huge. And, Bill, he said, bend don't break. That obviously wasn't the game plan going in, but it clearly was that type of game as they got going. And that was the adjustment. I think they were saying, hey, at the end of the day, we're not going to give up touchdowns in the red zone. And they didn't. And I'll just say that was huge. Shout out to the defense. And that,
I was just going to say, just to call it a few guys, all the big dogs ate. Like Cam Arnold, 9 tackles. Donovan Ezeraku, 8 tackles, 2.5 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. Cam Horsley, 7 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss. Like those are your big dogs. Those are the guys that need to be making plays, and they all showed up.
So many playmakers.
And
again, I'll shout out Carter Davis again. He had a pick, and he also had that forced fumble on special teams. So everyone, so many playmakers. It seemed like every starter had at least a couple plays. And then again, like you said, Donovan, 2.5 tackles for loss and a sack. I mean, this is exactly what we were looking for last year from him. And he's playing above that now. He's playing above the expectation every week on a consistent basis. It's just huge. And he's the anchor on that D. But look, like you're saying, Haas, look what he did, allowing Crouch, allowing Horsley to step it up as well. I mean, if you have that many guys on the line making plays, it's like it's going to be impossible to defend on a consistent basis. So, again, huge shout out to those names.
And what's Donovan's he does the –
That was awesome.
Love that. I love that sound.
That was so great.
That got me hyped. After that sack, I think in the second half, he was right in front of our section. It was just like,
yeah, right in front of the students too, guys. The students got
that man.
So many great plays right there. That was freaking awesome.
Yeah. I will say though, the Childs, the Michigan State quarterback, did he made a lot of mistakes, a lot of freshmen or just a lot of young guy type mistakes. But I'll tell you, he was a talent in the running that ball. But he did make a headache, so I do want to shout out him. I think he's going to be a talent for them for years for the next few years. I think he's definitely got to clean up the passing game for sure. He had 3 interceptions. He probably could have had 5 or 6. But yeah, I was impressed by how the athlete that he was from the quarterback position.
We had a really hard time containing him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks too, I mean, Tommy had another. It was just a good game. It is 10 of 16, 140, and a touchdown. I mean, his stats aren't lighting the world on fire, but it's like you have here. It's like similar to his FSU performance.
Mhm.
You know, I think the biggest thing for a quarterback, the quarterback of this team, don't turn the ball over. And I know he fumbled, they got it back, and and by the way, that was a touchdown. Forgot to mention that earlier. That was a touchdown. We did get hosed, anyways. Crazy.
Can I just say what Jack and Brett you just said? It was incredible to see that on display, though, because you had two very similar quarterbacks in different points in their career, right?
Mhm.
You had Carter basically, you had, MSU quarterback basically playing in the first half like Tommy, right? And it almost reminded you of what we saw with Tommy last year. So raw, so talented, but just not formed, not a manager yet, not being able to play in the game and just taking what the defense gives you. And then you see Tommy, right, in that second half, seeing what, a year does in development, basically playing the game, managing, not making mistakes. So you really saw that was the difference. It was two quarterbacks, one a little further along development. So again, good shout out, Jack, because Michigan State's coming. They're going to be a very good team, I think, in the very near future. But it just was like a young quarterback, I think, that just has so much talent, but needs to hone in those skills and manage the game correctly. And we saw that with Tommy, especially in the second half.
I have to say just one thing on that, because I do think Tommy is definitely showing maturity. He's grown a ton since last year, but he has not been very super effective on the ground this year. And I don't know if that's defense is figuring it out. I don't know if that's maybe us not calling his number as much, or he's being more patient in the pocket, but he's averaging less than 3 yards a carry. And this is a guy that's known to be explosive. His legs are kind of his bread and butter, right? We don't think of him as a pass first kind of guy, but now he's becoming that. And he hasn't showed that he hasn't been super effective on the ground. That's my point here. And I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on that.
He had 15 carries for 15 yards. I mean, when's the last time you saw something like that out of him? And I understand that, was he sacked? That's my other question, too.
Well, he had that one play where he scrambled like 15 yards back.
He won a lot of negative plays. That's why I think, too.
Yeah. He did have a few, I think 6 or 7 yard scrambles, but nothing not like kind of the plays that we've seen in the past, I think. He did.
Yeah, that's a good call out though, Haas, because I feel like you do wonder if, you talk about how Bill O'Brien's trying to development and stay in the pocket and to really only take what the defense gives you. Is that maybe getting a little too in his head where he's trying to force, hey, don't run, stay in the pocket, do all this stuff? I mean, that's great for development and all, but at the end of the day, you got to win. And there was a point in that game last night where you're like, Tommy, this isn't clearly not that game. Take off. There's space on the outside. There's space down the, maybe a little more designed run. So, and this might go back to, another critique I mentioned earlier, which is the play calling. It would have been nice to see a little more designed runs with Tommy, because it clearly was that type of game where some of the, passing wasn't working per se. So it's like, there's so many plays to the outside. It was incredible to see, Conley out on the outside, and then even Drew Kendall to be, running to the outside. They had, a bunch of runs, over 10 yards to the outside, but they didn't go back to it as much as they wanted to. And then also there were so many plays like with Tommy, why isn't he taking off? So definitely some critiques and frustrations there, but I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know if it's in his head at all, or why he's not taking off, or why they're not play calling to that a little bit more, especially in a game like on Saturday.
I mean, why take off when you have two of the best running backs in all of college football? Can we talk about that for a second?
Turbo time.
We got Trayshawn Ward, career high 102 yards on 14 carries. That's 7.3 yards a carry. I believe that's good.
I'll take
Turbo Richardson, 10 carries, 46 yards and a touchdown. By the way, that touchdown was ill because he ran to the outside, just outran everyone. He's Turbo for a motherfucking reason. Turbo Richard. I can't. 4 more years of Turbo time.
Yeah, freshman guys.
Yes, please.
Incredible.
Yes, please.
Unreal.
Both those rushing touchdowns were sick. I mean, Turbo, on Turbos, he I think I don't know if it was designed to be all the way outside, but he kind of bounced that out and kind of just, it was a foot race to the end zone there. And then the Trayshawn Ward one first play after the pick to go like 36 yards down the sideline. That was
huge.
Freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. Both those touchdowns in front of the student section.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge for momentum. Definitely.
This was Vince Carter, right? Vince Carter did this when he was coming down the court.
I think so. Yeah. Was that what Turbo did? Was that his celebration?
No, I'm trying to get it to pick up. I'm trying to get him to get that going.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it started.
I like that.
Turbo, man. Oh, sorry. No, you can go, Brett.
No, you can go. I'm gonna switch gears after. So give your thoughts.
I'm just saying, just another shout out to Turbo. I mean, we were seeing this over summer practice, how incredible he was, and the way he just moves, through the players, and the way he's able. That one where his touchdown, the way he bounced out, his vision is something you cannot teach, right? So him being able to just pop out on the outside and run easy into the end zone was just huge. And then again, like you guys mentioned, Trayshawn Ward, probably the best athlete, one of the best athletes, if not the best athlete on the team. I mean, just every game consistent, showing up. And then again, the resiliency, like we mentioned before, after fumbling, coming back, scoring that touchdown, and just being consistent as hell in the second half.
I don't think I can go without noting here as well. There's 82 recruits at the game on Saturday, or 87, awesome. Like upwards of 90, whatever it was. How important that was to win that game, outside of Red Bandana and everything else. Just the fact that your future is in the house, so important. Being down on the field before typically you'll have like a little pocket of recruits, whether it's recruits and their families and everything else. There'll be like a couple pockets like scat along. They were covered from. They basically surrounded the entire end zone, like the sides of the end zone, the back of the end zone, the other side of the end zone. There was a lot of that. I've never seen that many. I don't even know if I've seen half that many in there. From that perspective alone, it was, I don't even want to say, it was imperative that they won that game in front of them. And how awesome was it? I mean, that's cinema, right? Like the meme cinema, that it played out that way, and the energy and the crowd, and that was a team effort. That was a team effort, recruiting wise. I feel like the entire school, the entire community, everything just came together, to make that like the most perfect experience. And I would say more than not, a lot of those kids probably walked away thinking like, I want to be part of that someday. So
that was so cool. That was really cool, Brett. When we were looking at, before the game started, just to be on the sideline, seeing how it wrapped the entire end zone, and then all the way from the corner of the end zone to the 50-yard line was all recruits, all parents there, being able to take in that, that magical atmosphere. And then for them to pull that win off on national television with a packed alumni stadium, the biggest, the most packed I've seen it, even in under the rain, under the lights. That's going to do wonders with recruiting. And we had, it wasn't just your local, high school kids either. We had, national recruits there, 3 and 4 stars, and a bunch of quarterbacks. Bill O'Brien's next guy up. So it was incredible to see. Huge for the program.
The one thing we haven't touched on with the atmosphere and what was going on was, I think we're so fortunate to have football alumni that we do. We had 2, and there was more legends in the house too, but the 2 that came on the field that I had the chance to interact with, Andre Williams and Doug Flutie, like to have those 2 guys there on a night like that, like All-American, Heisman, like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Andre Williams was a Heisman finalist too, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What year was he on the team?
2013 was.
Okay. So pretty relatively recent. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Andre too. Andre 2K. I just coughed into the mic. He's coming on the podcast at some point too. So,
Yep.
Did you mention that to him?
Yeah, super down to earth guy. We chatted for a lot that on Saturday night, and
That's awesome.
I was like, "Hey, so I just want to let you know. Aside from this, I'm on the Eagles Weekly Pod," and he's like, "Yeah, I definitely want to get on." Then I was like, "We'll get you." He's like, "You still want me on?" I was like, "We'll get you on there."
Yeah.
So I got his number now, so I'll.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
I'll be the plug. I'll be the plug on this one.
Please.
Awesome.
Please.
That's perfect.
I just want to. I want to hear his story of like, because I mean, even his first 3 years, like he was a good running back. I mean, he split time with like, who was it? Montel Harris and whoever else was there. I want to hear the story about how he just absolutely exploded that last year. He was putting up like quarterback numbers. There was one game he rushed for like 339 yards or something, like 4 touchdowns. Like he was putting up quarterback numbers as a running back. Absolutely insanity.
Mm-hmm. Stud, just super down. And then Doug Flutie. I mean, he's fielding every signature and photo request from all the students that are screaming his name. He's getting everybody the shot, just like cool dude. And super down to earth, and you can just tell he's the guy that just loves to be in the spotlight, and it's super cool. He just thrives in it.
And we need that. It's basically he's like the school ambassador still. What 40 years later? 50? Yeah, 40 something years. 40 years later.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Wow, 40. Yeah, right. 1984.
Right?
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Man.
I also saw Sean Silva was there, safety from I think 2013-14 era. He was there too. I seen he posted like a bunch of pictures. I feel like there's a lot of like you said, a lot of alumni who are kind of like rejuiced on the program, and it's awesome to see, because that's how it should be. You should not only be proud of where you came from, but also, feel like you can, be welcomed back and be celebrated, and, really kind of be part of, the current, the contemporary era of, BC football. So I think from that point of view, it's super important to like get these guys involved. And Bill O'Brien and the staff, they've done a great job of like bringing guys back. I know Luke Kuechly was here. Matt Ryan was here, all these guys in the offseason. So, it's and for a guy like Andre Williams, I know Andre Williams talked about it. When he made the BC Hall of Fame back in, I believe, 2019, and he talked about just how cold Adazio was to him. Really wasn't very like welcoming to him. So he deserves to be celebrated as a legend of the program. So I'm very happy that he hasn't been soured on the program, and I wouldn't have blamed him if he was.
I just Googled Andre Williams' 2013 game logs. Listen to this 5-game stretch he had. He had a game, 172 yards, 166, 295, 339, and 263.
What was that highest number? 339?
He went 42. He rushed the ball 42 times for 339 yards against NC State. That is crazy.
It's not like he was doing that against like Duquesne or something. He was doing that against like legit opponents too.
He ran the ball 42 times. Holy
That's
shit.
a thoroughbred right there. That's a thoroughbred.
Video game numbers. Andre 2K, man. Like 2K.
Can you imagine the ice baths that this man probably had to sit in after games?
Yeah, well, that's like 150 carries in like a month. That's crazy.
His legs must have been so shot after games.
Man, that is so awesome.
That's unbelievable.
That was a crazy year, man. I remember that Dazio ball. They're running the ball like 35 times a game, something like insane number. It was just ridiculous. Yeah.
All right, let's welcome in. We got Steven from Topper Talk Podcast. He's going to join us, and we're going to talk a little bit about the next opponent, Western Kentucky, as we flip the page here. We got him. Steven, how's it going?
I'm good, man. Appreciate y'all for having me. How are y'all?
Hey, Steven, doing great, man. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. My pleasure.
I guess first and foremost, especially for the listeners out there, who are some guys, on offense and defense that, we should keep an eye on, kind of take a look for that, kind of stand out for you guys?
Yeah, so offensively, obviously we've had a change at quarterback. So, TJ Finley went down 2 games ago. Caden Veltkamp had to cut his teeth in his first ever start here at home in front of a big crowd that was on hand until we had a long weather delay and it cleared everybody out. But definitely Caden Veltkamp, he's QB1. He has to be the straw that stirs the drink for what we want to be a up-tempo, fast, and scoring offense. Then we also have Elijah Young out of the backfield, who's a good running back. He's versatile. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, can be a solid runner. Then wide receiver wise, I'd have to highlight Keyshawn Johnson. He's just been a solid addition. He transferred here for his last season of eligibility. He's been our leading receiver 3 games in a row now. Then I also have to talk about River Helms, a tight end. I feel like he got a little bit underutilized this last week, but he's a solid and reliable target. He's going to catch the ball if it's thrown his way and then fight for the first down or as many yards as he can get. And then defensively, I have to start with Devontae Matthews, who just, basically sealed the game for us against Toledo twice. Had 2 game-clinching interceptions, which if you got to watch the end of that game it was insane. It was just a roller coaster of emotions as a spectator of it. Watching it live, I went from, okay, we're going to lose to, okay, we're going to win, back to we're going to lose to, okay, we're going to win. But he had 2 game-sealing interceptions in the end zone and actually had another interception earlier in the game that was waved off. So, he's showing himself to be a little bit of a ball hawk. I really like our secondary in total with him. We also have Anthony Johnson, that's a returning senior, and then Upton Stout, that's a returning redshirt junior. I really think our secondary is our strongest position group, not only on defense, but on the whole team. And then we've got some guys up front like Hosea Wheeler and Deontay McCray, on the defensive line that can really put pressure on your quarterbacks and hopefully make them make bad decisions. That's basically what that Toledo game boiled down to is after the weather delay, we pinned our ears back and blitzed a lot and made our quarterback make bad decisions and ultimately came away with that win.
Steven, I'm just curious if you could give me a little more in depth on your quarterback room. Obviously you guys have played Caden and TJ. Just give our listeners a little bit more, vision on the different skill sets and how you guys use them on your offense.
Yeah, so they're both physically nearly the same quarterback. TJ 6'7", right. 245, 250. I think Caden 6'6", 235. So both just big guys that prefer to be back in the pocket and throwing the ball. But obviously TJ's out. He's had surgery, so you're not going to see him. But Caden, again, a big, tall quarterback that can see the receivers down the field, can and will use his legs when needed. If a play breaks down or if it's just a short to gain for a first down, we'll just, call his own number and we'll tuck the ball and run. Has really shown really good poise in the pocket. He's really only had, 2+ games now of action. The bowl game last year versus ODU in the famous Toaster Bowl, the Middle Tennessee game, which he came on, after that first series, and now Toledo. So, this will be that first big road test. He did play when we were at Alabama, but that was in relief. That was in, a 42-0 game, I think, at the time when he came in the game. So, this is going to be the game is on his shoulders. He's shown that he makes quick and decisive decisions. He goes through his reads well. He spreads the ball around to a lot of different targets. Did have a couple interceptions against Toledo that I'm sure he wants back. When they go back and watch the film, the guys were open, but that window closed really fast. Just threw the ball a little bit too late. So has to go through those reads and make the decision a little bit quicker when it was open, because they were open at the time, but pulled the trigger a little bit too late and had a couple interceptions. Luckily, it didn't cost us the game. But I mean, he's a solid quarterback. He's still young, still cutting his teeth, but I think we feel good about him, even as the former backup being quarterback one.
Yeah, Steven, I did want to ask too about kind of just like the general kind of direction or the feeling around the program right now, because obviously week one, you guys go down to Alabama. Not many people are winning down in Tuscaloosa, but then you rip off 3 straight wins, 2 by pretty comfortable margins. But like you said, you have the quarterback change. So do you guys kind of feel like you're building momentum this season, like with the 3 straight wins, or is it kind of like more of a cautious momentum with the quarterback change, the personnel change?
I think coming into the season that most everyone would have had it penciled in for the way these games played out win-loss wise. Now, nobody wants to go down to Tuscaloosa and get beat 63-0. I mean, that was a rough game to sit through. Even if they're paying you $1.9 million, that was tough. You want to show up, you want to be competitive, give them a scare for a quarter or a half. We've seen our team do that before in the past in past matchups. Usually that team, down there is going to pull away and win, but we just hardly showed up, and a lot of fans weren't happy about that. But at the end of the day, I mean, the athletes on the field want to play in those ball games. They want to play against the best of the best. And I was worried coming in that, the Kalen DeBoer era was going to start off with however he wanted it to start off. If they wanted to hang 70, they'll hang 70, and they very well could have. So I think, that game initially left a bad taste in our mouth, but since then, with the game versus EKU and then Middle Tennessee, those were convincing wins that we showed a lot better execution, showed that the offense can move the ball and can score points. And then even against Toledo, even though we left points off the board and played a little bit sloppy as far as some turnovers and some penalties that, ultimately made the game closer than it should have been. I feel like we could have won that game comfortably if we played a cleaner football game. But luckily the cards fell our way and we won that game. But overall, I think the fan base is happy with the direction, even with the quarterback change. That was probably the biggest talking point coming into the season was who was quarterback one. And it was a coin flip between coaches, between fans, between anyone that, was making that decision of who it was going to be. When Helton announced that it was TJ, there was a lot of grumbling from the other half of the fan base that, they wanted to be Caden. He's a local kid from here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So I think there was a little bit of some bias in that perspective. But every time he's come in the game and had a chance to play, he's shown that he can lead this team to victory and score points. So I think the fan base right now is overall positive. All of our goals are still ahead of us. We're 1-0 in conference with that win over Middle Tennessee a couple weeks ago. No matter how this game plays out against Boston College, obviously we know it's a tough test, an ACC team. It's on the road. We're underdogs, I think 13 points last I looked. We want to have a better showing than 63-0 at Tuscaloosa. We know it's going to be a tough game and a tough matchup to be competitive and to win. But I think we have seen, the best of what this team can play so far against Middle Tennessee, and we've seen the worst of what we can play against Alabama. So if we're somewhere in the middle, I think we'll win a lot of games in Conference USA and be competitive for that conference title at the end of the year.
Yeah, you mentioned Stephen, thanks for being on here with us tonight. You mentioned the fans. Tell us a little bit about how the Hilltoppers travel. What kind of crowd could we expect in Alumni Stadium? Do you get a good away crowd? Tell us a little bit about that. You're going to be joining us in Alumni Stadium?
I'm not making this trip, and I keep getting a lot of peer pressure saying there's a lot of cheap flights heading up that way. But just logistically with some of the the other games we've had and just other stuff going on, I'm not making the trip. Now, I do expect that we'll have a good crowd. We had a really good crowd at Alabama. A couple years ago, we played at Indiana. We played at Auburn. We played at Michigan State. We always have pretty solid travel crowds. I don't know if it's going to be 500 to 1,000 people. I would expect it to be somewhere in that range that'll make the trip. But the Hilltopper fans, the faithful that go to every single game, is usually a pretty good number. So they'll be there. There'll be a lot of this color red in the stadium. I'm excited for it. Obviously, I wish I could be going, but I'll definitely be tuning in and watching, though.
When you talk about, BC as an ACC team, do you guys look at BC as a legit Power 4 team? Like, is that kind of the mindset that this is like a real serious opponent you're going up against? Is this a team that, you guys think that you can come in and win? Like, what's kind of the mindset, I guess, amongst the fan base coming into this game?
I think if you had asked that question before the season began, it might have been a different answer than what it is now. With the coaching change, with the performance we've seen on the field, top 25 and top 25 votes. I think initially it was looked at as a game like we can go in there and win, but we like to have that perspective on any opponent, any P4, P5, whatever you want to call it, opponent, because we've won those games in the past. Now it's been, I think since 2016 since we've beaten a Power 4, Power 5 team against Vanderbilt. So it's been a while since it's happened. We've been close several times. Should have beat Indiana a couple times, home and away, in the last 3-4 years. But it's just always tough. I respect the opponent anytime. I know you all have had a coaching change with Bill O'Brien. There's a familiar name on the roster with Kai Robichaux at running back, was formerly at Western Kentucky. So I know he's a really talented running back. I don't think he saw any game time your last game or limited snaps. I don't know if he was injured or whatever, but just looking at your team this year, I mean, they're obviously a very good team. The running game, especially the quarterback, is eye-opening to me because that has been a sore spot of our defense, as our run defense at times, and mobile quarterbacks just always give us fits. So I respect you all, and I hope the team and the fan base overall respects Boston College as a power conference opponent.
Now,
Steven, you're good, huh?
I was just going to say, Steven, asking for a friend, what is a hilltopper?
Our campus is located on a hill, and all of our sports facilities, the football stadium and the basketball arena, used to be at the top of the hill. For whatever reason, decades ago, they thought that was a good idea. And we were just called the Hilltoppers. The name just was derived from that. And then for whatever reason, Big Red, the spirit of the hill, was derived, years ago as well. So it's always a common question. What is a Hilltopper? What is Big Red? He's the spirit of the hill. He's just a fun, lovable mascot that is loved anywhere he goes. ESPN commercials all the time, Mascot Hall of Fame. So I love the question because we don't always know the answer, but we know that everyone loves Big Red. And if he goes to the game, be sure to get a picture with him because he's definitely a fun time.
I'm fired up to see Big Red. Let me just say that. I'm fired up.
I love this. The Hilltoppers coming to Chestnut Hill. This is great. Steven, you mentioned Robichaux, and we still haven't got word on Robichaux. Hopefully I can ask Coach tomorrow if it's injury or not. But just talking about injuries, is there any significant injuries on the Hilltoppers team that we should be aware about coming into this game that kind of developed from the Toledo game?
No, I don't recall anyone going out of that game that wasn't already injured. There were some guys not dressed. TJ Finley's the only name. He just had surgery after his injury against MTSU. Right. So no new injuries, came out of that game healthy. I don't remember any play stoppages and anybody coming off the field, during game action. So I think we came out relatively healthy.
Nice.
Anything, Jack?
No, Haas stole my Hilltopper question, but yeah, glad we got that figured out.
With Kai, so you mentioned Kai Robichaux earlier. What was your guys' experience with him, and do you guys miss him? And do you still kind of keep tabs on him?
I mean, I personally do. I'm not sure that the fan base does, but I'm a guy that in this transfer portal era of football, that anyone that comes to Western Kentucky and chooses to be a Hilltopper, represent us as a student athlete, even after they leave, whether it's graduation or transfer or whatever it is, I'm going to keep up with them. So I've kept up with him, at Boston College. I know he's been a pretty good back for you all, has scored some touchdowns for you all. So I was always really impressed with him as a running back. He was a really strong runner that always seemed to get better as the games went on. He did have some injuries here as well. Obviously not to his fault. That's a physical demanding position. I wouldn't go as far as to say we miss him. Obviously he's a really good running back. If he was still here, I wouldn't be mad. But we do still have a good, solid, and healthy running back room with Elijah Young, with LT Sanders, with Jalen Hampton, with George Hart III. I mean, we still have a lot of good options there that are strong running backs. But Robichaux was a solid guy while he was here, and we obviously appreciate him. And I'm going to keep cheering for him and hope he does well wherever he goes.
Just not Saturday.
I mean, he can score a touchdown if he wants, but as long as we score one more, that's what we're hoping for.
I love that. I was going to mention your guys' running back group because it seems like you guys have a bunch of backs. The one that stuck out was Elijah Young. I know he had a pretty decent season last year, Steven. It seems that his yards per carry a little down this year. I was just wondering him personally, and then kind of just giving a little more in-depth view on the running backs and how you guys are using them this year.
Yeah, so last year he was part of like a four-headed monster at running back. We had several guys that were really all sharing the carries. He was a new transfer from Missouri last year, and really as the season progressed, he really started to separate himself as the clear running back one, and you could see him getting the bulk and the lion's share of the carries and the scoring opportunities. He just made a lot of big plays. This year, I do recognize and notice that his yards per carry have gone down as far as rushing. But if you look on the other side, what he's doing when he's also catching the ball in the backfield, he's dynamic there as well. So in our offense, we like to spread you out. We like to send the running back out of the backfield, whether it's on a wheel route or cross, and just kind of keep your defense honest, keep the secondary, second level, etc., honest in what they're doing and how they're approaching you on defense. So he might not always be gashing you for big gains on the ground, but he can definitely catch the ball in the backfield. And then we've got other guys. I mentioned LT Sanders earlier. He's a smaller running back, but he is effective. He's lightning fast and can make a play and be gone in just a moment. Had his first touchdown of his career just a couple weeks ago, so super excited and happy for him. And then the other guys are transfers as well. Jalen Hampton from Elon, and then George Hart III from Arizona State. Both of those guys haven't seen a ton of carries, but George Hart III has also shown that he can catch the ball in the backfield. He's dynamic like that. And Jalen Hampton, he's fast. Like if he gets the ball in space for whatever reason, if it's just game flow, if it's injury, whatever reason he gets inserted into the game, like he can be a game changer in one possession. So I really like our running back room. Obviously losing a guy like Kai is never what you want to have happen, but in this era of transfer portal and college football, it's going to happen, year in, year out. But I really like our running back room. All those guys can produce. Sometimes you ride the hot hand, sometimes it's game flow, sometimes it's scheme and play calling, etc. But a lot of those guys can make plays when needed.
Haas, Jack, anything?
I did want to ask one last question about the your guys' quarterback position, because you guys, we talked earlier how you switched to Caden from CJ. I was looking at Caden's stats. I think he has the 2 career starts this year. I think he had 1 last year. So he kind of seems like he dominated against Middle Tennessee, threw for like 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 picks. Against like a more stout opponent like Toledo, he threw a touchdown with 2 interceptions. Do you have curious about your kind of level of trust with him against a Power 4 opponent like BC?
Last week against Toledo was his first career start. The ODU bowl game, he came in. He was actually quarterback 3. He came in when the game was 21-0. It became 28-0, and then led us to victory. MTSU, he came in during the first scoring drive. TJ was hurt. He came in and finished that game off and was responsible for all our points. So then Toledo last week was his first start.
Gotcha. Okay.
His level of play, when he's been given the keys, he's been really good. And I said this in real time during the Toledo game. It felt like we were calling the game offensively and play calling differently. We were playing a lot more east-west during that Toledo game for whatever reason. The Middle Tennessee game, everything was pitch and catch, nice, easy. I don't want to call it watered down play calling, but just letting him get comfortable. His first, serious game action that wasn't a bowl game to end the season. This was live against a conference opponent. The game mattered and was going to matter for the season going forward. So he really played as good a game as expect against MTSU. And then the Toledo game had an early interception. I felt like that made him and or the offensive coordinator gun shy. Seemed like they dumbed the play calling down a little bit, went with some safer plays. End up having another interception. Then we had an almost hour and a half weather delay, a lightning delay. It was raining, and we weren't throwing the ball as much as we like to throw the ball. I think weather definitely was a factor for that entire game. It was windy. Then the rain came, lightning, weather delay, and then more rain. So, I only have my concerns in the fact that, any young quarterback, if you pressure them, if you blitz them, if you make them get off their spot, that's when you're more likely to see those quick decisions that become bad decisions and become turnovers. So, that would be my main concern is he doesn't have a ton of game time, even with 3 games of experience now, 1 game starting. If you rough him up a little bit, if you put him on his back a couple times, we may need to see how he responds as the starting quarterback when that happens. Does he get back up and forget about the last play, or does, that stick in his head and he starts questioning himself and his reads and progressions? So, I don't know if we fully know that answer or how he's going to do against a P4 opponent. But I think he has all the attributes and the skills to be successful and to lead us to victory. We've seen him do it in this offense this season already. So I do have concerns, but I'm not worried. I'm confident about, with him as our quarterback 1.
I guess my final question for you, Stephen, is just thinking about Conference USA this year. What are the expectations for Western Kentucky? Obviously a 1-0 start, which is great to your conference schedule, but how does the landscape of Conference USA look this year, and what are the expectations of the team?
Last year we came in as the prohibitive favorite. We had a lot returning. We had Austin Reed, who's in the NFL with the Bears now. We had Malachi Corley returning, who's in the NFL with the Jets now. We just had a lot of talent and a lot of good offensive pieces. And as a G5, you usually don't get all that kind of talent back, and we were able to retain them. We have a really solid NIL and collective here that does a good job at keeping talent here. But we were the favorite last year. We stumbled and lost several games. We had a lot of injury concerns, especially at wide receiver and on defense last year. We just didn't win as many games as we should have, call it what it is. We ended up finishing second to Liberty, or actually I think we were third or fourth, but Liberty won the conference, undefeated, went to a New Year's Six bowl against Oregon. I think we all know how that ended at this point. They got blown out of the water, but I think most teams in college football would have lost to that Oregon team. They were just, a win or two, a few points away from being a playoff team in their own right. And then coming into this year, really the script is kind of flipped. We're behind Liberty. They're the prohibitive favorite. They're returning a lot of players, kind of like we did last year, from a really good and undefeated team until that Oregon game. But we're still bringing in a lot of pieces that are coming back. The quarterback change is the biggest question mark. Was it TJ or was it Caden? It ended up being TJ. Now it's obviously Caden by default due to injury. But we still have a really stout offense as far as the number of weapons that we have, guys that can make plays. Our defense was a question mark coming into this year, but I think they have shown that they can bow up at times and make big plays and win games for you when needed.
Stephen, my last question, and then we'll let you go. And first off, thank you so much for doing this. It's always super helpful to get, a perspective from someone who covers and follows the team very closely. Haas, Mac, and myself, we're all New England guys. Zappy fever. Are we still Bailey guys, or what's up with that? I know you said you still follow them after they leave the program. He was, cut the world by storm here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Bailey Zappi. Obviously, he came here with Kitley and the Stern brothers and Ben Ratzlaff, and just, literally had a record-breaking season. Broke the single-season passing yards and touchdown records. He was just a baller, man. And then, went to a situation in New England that I thought was going to be pretty good for him. I don't feel like they treated him well. I think he's shown at times that he can come into a game and spread the ball around and be productive. But as I watched New England play last year, I started to feel sorry for Mac Jones because I don't think any quarterback would have been successful behind that offensive line, man. Like, as soon as you snap the ball, you're running for your life. He was cut before the season last year and then re-signed, to the practice squad, whatever it was, and stayed with the team. At that point, I thought he probably should have explored his options and seen what else was out there. But I guess some loyalty to him kept him there. Obviously, now he's in Kansas City. They've drafted a couple young quarterbacks and probably should try to groom them to see who's the future there in New England. So I think he's in a good situation now. I still think he could thrive in the right system. I'm a 49ers fan. He reminds me of a Brock Purdy type of quarterback. I think if you put him in that type of a system with those many weapons around him, it didn't ask a lot of him, just said, hey, manage the game and get the ball to your playmakers. I think he could shine in the NFL. I don't know that he'll ever get that opportunity, just gift wrapped to him. But playing in Kansas City, an injury or two away from possibly getting that chance and having those weapons at his disposal. So still big Bailey Zappi fan. He's been back on campus a couple times since he graduated and left Western and went to the NFL. So definitely keep it up with him and all the other pro tops in the NFL.
Awesome. Steven, once again, thank you so much for coming on. Really looking forward to, the game on Saturday. Why don't you let the listeners, before you leave, know where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, so our main platform is going to be Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now. So we're at Topper_Talk. And then pretty much anywhere where you can find your podcasts, audio-wise, anywhere, just search for Topper Talk or YouTube. We're at Topper Talk Podcast. So, we'd love to have you listen and check us out and get familiar with the opponent. I really appreciate you all letting me come on and talk Hilltopper football. I know this has kind of been a long time coming as far as us setting it up and making it happen. Looking forward to you all, joining us and just talking Boston College. Cause like you said, I think it's always that much more informational and that much more, you just learn more about your opponent when you hear it from somebody who follows them. I read Phil Steele, I check box scores, etc., but I'm never going to know as much as, you guys are going to know. So I look forward to getting that insight from you all, as well as being able to provide that to your listeners as well. So I appreciate you all for having me as well, and looking forward to the game this Saturday.
Awesome.
Thank you, Steven. You're the man.
Thank you, Steven.
Thanks so much, Steven.
Thanks, Steven.
That was awesome.
Come on. What a guy.
I love his background.
Salt to the earth. Salt to the earth. I'll tell you what.
I didn't want to bring this up when he was on here, but I think Western Kentucky's really good. Maybe not really, but I think they're good.
Yeah.
I'm the person who does the common opponents thing and looks at it and tries to see logically how do they match up against us from that standpoint. Mm-hmm. And so they beat Toledo. Toledo's a pretty good team. Toledo beat Duquesne.
Toledo's good.
They crushed
Duquesne by 40. We beat Duquesne by 56, right?
Toledo's a good team.
Toledo beat Mississippi State, an SEC opponent, by 24.
Mm-hmm.
Western Kentucky beat Toledo, and like he just said, they probably should have beat them by multiple scores. So it has moved me with an air of caution throughout this week. And I think the line shows it too. It says 13 points. That's not that much against a Western Kentucky team, to be quite honest. I don't know. That's where I stand right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a nervous game. The more and more I look at it, Haas too, I was feeling very positive even a couple of days ago, but the more and more I've looked into this team, just looking at how they even ended last game, they ended up picking, I think their cornerback had 2 picks. They ended it the same way. They ended up on a last second interception. BC win on their last interception. How do they win this game is kind of how my brain's thinking. And it's the turnover margin, right? If they win the turnover game, this is a football game, right? One turnover, this is a football game. So they clearly can create turnovers. So that's a big worry. And they can put points on the board. So you could very easily get down a score or two if you're not, ready to play. So This is a. I don't know. What do you think, Jack? I think this is a scary one. I would say, feeling high after this massive win on Saturday.
No, yeah, I agree. It does feel like the classic BC letdown spot. Red bandana, emotional, crazy win like that. So from that perspective, I am worried. But at the same time, I know Steven mentioned, like they have a couple ball hawks in their secondary. Like, and Mac, you mentioned like the turnover battle. If they're going to win the game, that's where they're going to win it. But I feel like there's a pretty clear path to BC winning this game, and that's just running the ball. If with Ward, with Turbo, with Robichaux, if you get him back. So I think if we saw this, like Tommy, he obviously made adjustments from Mizzou. Like he made a couple bad plays there. He was pretty mistake free against Michigan State. So if they can just have a clean game plan there, and while at the same time just running the ball consistently, I think, I have trouble seeing them lose, knock on wood, but the general feeling surrounding the game is, the classic trap game or whatever it is. Cause like we mentioned that after Florida State about Duquesne, I think, but we were never going to lose to Duquesne. I mean, we won we won the game 56-0, but like this really does have that feel for it, at least to me.
It does.
I think the two things that just don't worry me, right, are number one, our defense. I think our defense is phenomenal, and I think they continue to get better with every game. And I think that being said, right, like this is a quarterback making his third career start on the road. Really, this is his first legitimate home game or away game, rather. Mm-hmm. He started a neutral site game for a bowl game, started a home game, and now this is his first away game, correct? And he's coming into the beehive that is Alumni Stadium.
Yeah.
I think this defense, I think people are going to get up for it. That's the thing so I think they're going to be trickier than I think paper shows, but I think our defense and I think our team are going to be up for the challenge.
You be making points. I think for me too is like, I think coming into like each game so far this season, like I just haven't been able to fully gauge just like what to expect. Florida State game was very unsure, what we were going to get, and then the Duquesne game was kind of like, like you said, it could be a trap game. We could win by 10, 156-0. Mizzou game.
Hold on a sec. Time out. You got to give you and Matt credit. You did call the win at Florida State, so you did know what you're talking about.
I was talking shit though. Like
Mac truly believed what he was saying.
I'll take credit. I will take credit for. I had this feeling.
Okay, dude. Like, yeah.
I'm just napping, guys. First episode. I will say, still got it. I said FSU's going down. I don't know.
Fire, by the way.
But I'll say this. I will say this. I was texting you guys in the group chat, but when I had that feeling in the summer of we're gonna beat FSU, I also had this like other feeling of and then we'll freaking lose to Western Kentucky, right? In week 4 or 5. So I did have that feeling, but that was before all of this happened, obviously. But this still is a trap game feeling to it. And when I said that before, everything that they played up this point, if you take care of the ball, if you execute, you should win comfortably, right? But if you make a mistake or two, this becomes a real football game, and then this is a battle. So I would say that's what worries me, because we've seen that in the past where there's potential for that, especially if Tommy tries to do a little bit too much. But if he stays, in how he's been prepared with Bill O'Brien, we should win this game comfortably. But, we're a mistake or two away from this becoming a real, grind.
This is where a veteran coaching staff preaches during the week, right? This is what their role is. This is their role to get them up for this game, to make sure that their mindset is right. I think this is the game where you see the elevation in coaching, ultimately.
Another level. We have another level.
Kept saying that, yeah.
Yep.
That was not a perfect game. It was not a perfect game that they played against Michigan State by any
Certainly
means.
not.
There's going to be a
Certainly not.
lot of work done at practice this week.
Nope, we got another level. We can get to another level. That's all right. We're gonna take a quick commercial break presented by Bigelow Tea, and then we'll get predictions and final thoughts. Get Bigelow Tea.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify is there to help you grow. Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I did it right. We're back. We're so back.
The countdown. All right, Brett.
Very correct.
Good job, Brett. Good job.
You did it.
Real quick, Haas, you like that accountability by me earlier?
I love it.
Sometimes I just say things, dude. Like, I mean,
but at the same time, you asked us before this episode if we wanted Delulu Brett back.
He's here.
What was the answer?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a resounding yes.
Wait, Delulu Brett. All right, Delulu Brett's here. Can we talk a little? Like, we're getting into predictions now. Can we talk a little bit, like, beyond Western Kentucky? Because if I have Delulu Brett here, I kind of want to hear. We talked early in the season. What does the rest of the season look like? We had our predictions. Delulu Brett, are you thinking big bowl potential? Are you thinking playoffs? Are we gonna go there right now? Are we getting a little Delulu? Are we Delulu?
I'm gonna say this. October 25th, we have Louisville at home. We're going to be 6-1 going into that game, fresh off a win in Blacksburg. We're going to be ranked like 15th. That's all I'm saying. Western Kentucky, Virginia Tech. We're going to be 6-1, 3-0 in ACC. We're going to be ranked like 15th. Showdown with Louisville. I'll see you there.
It's too bad that's a Friday night game and couldn't be like college game day.
I looked at that too, Haas. I saw the Friday night and I was like, dang, that would have been the call. That would have been.
Pull that out of your mouth. My bad.
I hate the Friday night games, by the way. Terrible to get to. You know, we're all working men. Haas, you're right there, so it's a little bit of a easier commute for you. You can walk over. Son of a bitch.
We'll be all eyes on BC again, though. Hey, Brett, I mean, thank you for that take, though, because I mean, you do look, we're obviously we're getting ahead of ourselves. Obviously, it's all about Western Kentucky. But
We don't jump ahead, but we can jump ahead.
you look at Virginia, right? That's a winnable game on the road. I mean, that's a good team on the up and coming. But
we're
there you
clapping.
go. Then you have Virginia Tech.
Virginia's not that good. Everyone's saying Virginia. Maybe they're improved, but they sucked last year.
They're improved, but they're not as good as us.
They did lose to Maryland, I think. So I mean,
there you go. But then you have Virginia Tech, who's looked very shaky this season, right?
Just lost the Rutgers.
Clapping them too.
Yeah.
Boom.
In their house.
That's what I'm talking about. And then who's
after 21?
Who's after Virginia Tech? We got
Louisville.
We got Louisville, right? So if you're rolling into there 5-1, right?
6-1.
And then to finish your last 4 games after Louisville are Cuse, SMU, UNC, and Pitt. And I mean, honestly, like none of those 4 teams.
Right. Look what happened to UNC this weekend.
Have been super impressive either. I mean, Syracuse, I guess you have Kyle McCord, their new coach. But
they just lost to Rutgers. I'm all set. Beating them too.
Yeah. So I think after Louisville, if you get through Louisville with like 2 losses in your schedule, like it's it really opens things up for you down the stretch.
So you're telling me that if you left the state of Massachusetts and if you were to say gamble on them preseason over 4.5 wins, you're feeling pretty good right now?
Who me?
I'm just asking.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I said before the season it was free money.
You'll cash that in 2 weeks.
That bet's hitting in 2 weeks.
You'll cash that in 2 weeks, my friend.
I will.
What I'm saying is we're winning 11. We're winning 11. We're going 11-1. That's crazy. Not news to me.
If you look at
who are we losing to?
I mean, I think it comes down to that Louisville game, right? That's the big realistic L, I would say.
We owe them, dude. They embarrassed. They
embarrassed us last year.
They scored every single drive last year in the first half.
And then we're thinking, wait, even if you do lose to them and you have 1 ACC loss, we're talking beyond the crazy passing error. We're in this thing and we're looking at one other team. We're talking ACC championship, and if you
we're not talking it, we're doing it. We're going to the playoff.
I will say though, if way in the future, way into Lululemon, if they make the ACC championship and they lose, I don't know. Like, do you think a second ACC team gets an at-large bid in the playoff?
Yeah,
whoever
loses to BC. I don't know what you mean. Like they're gonna lose. we're running the table.
No, you're right. My bad.
And we're beating Miami.
Who are we going to lose to? Who are we going to lose to?
Yeah. Weird way to say that Miami's going to lose, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Miami could still make it. Yeah.
Brett, you want Miami in the ACC championship, or do you want Clemson in the ACC championship?
Miami. I want to beat the. Yeah, I'll take either one of them.
Doesn't matter. We're winning.
Let's just say all this, and then we lose the Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be funny.
No. It wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys are laughing. Jesus.
It'd be fucking tragic. This would get clipped up in a heartbeat. I'd have to quit social media.
Yeah, Topper Talk would have a field day with that clip if we're talking 11-1 in the playoffs and then they come to Chestnut Hill and beat us. But yeah, no way. I'm with you, Brett. No way.
I think we beat them by 21 next week. I think we beat them by like 3 touchdowns.
What's your official prediction for the graphic?
Yeah, do it for the graphic. Do it for the brand, buddy.
42-21.
So you got the over.
I like that.
Yeah.
Got the over. You got them covered.
Yeah, they're gonna. Dude, their quarterback is 7 feet tall. He's gonna sling a little bit too. So they're gonna give up a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, he's a hoss. He's a big guy.
When you said that earlier, 6'7". That's like Brock Osweiler, and he was good.
Yeah,
gonna have to tackle well on Saturday. That's for sure.
You want to know my prediction?
I want to know Haas's prediction. We got a prediction here?
No, I'm predicting our secondary has a pick 6 on Saturday.
Thought
like
thought we
that.
were finally getting one.
Are you calling a name, Haas? Do you have a name in mind?
No, pick 6.
No.
That's
Okay.
all I'll give you.
There's so many to choose from. I mean, we had three of them had picks last week. So
Right. Max Tucker, Carter Davis, Amari. I'm still thinking about Amari's Georgia Tech pick 6 last year.
you could see KP Price getting one. Yeah.
I'm with Haas on Haas mentioned how the defense has been playing so incredible. I think this weekend is going to be another coming out party for Tim Lewis. I think they only put up 1 touchdown. I think the score is going to be something around 35-10 Boston College. I think this defense is going to pretty much stifle this Western Kentucky offense, and this is probably going to go against a lot of what people are going to predict because I think Western Kentucky does have a good offense, but I think this Boston College defense is extremely underrated. I mean, you can say there was a lot of plays that they didn't execute last game, but they still, when it mattered most, came up big. And I especially in the red zone. So it's hard to score touchdowns on this defense. We've seen it this whole season. It might change a little bit, but I think we hold them to a touchdown. I think it's going to be somewhere around 35-10. And it's BC covers and takes the W, and then we go into ACC play, boys.
Yeah, I'm kind of along with what you're saying. I think we'll have no more than 1 touchdown, but I could see Western Kentucky get a few drives on the field that end a few possessions that end in field goals. So I think my prediction is pretty similar to yours. I was gonna put it right around 35 to 16. Like they get 2 or 3 field goals or something like that. So yeah, I like BC to cover that spread, but I think it's hard to. I mean, you hate to say it, it's hard to see a scenario. A lot would have to go wrong for them to lose, and it's not saying it's impossible, but they should control this game on both sides of the ball for sure.
It's a huge opportunity too, and I agree. I think for them to lose, it's going to be a turnover or two, at the wrong moment for them to get an extra score or something like that for them to make this a game. But it's a huge opportunity because, Bill O'Brien and, was talking about this, I think, in another show, a week ago, how, they're focused on Western Kentucky, but they understand the ACC play starts next week, right? You got to hone in now. This defense has things to improve. This offense clearly has things to improve. We saw that in the first half. And, we can talk about special teams for another hour here. Tons to improve there. You need to find a punter. You need to be consistent. There's so many things to improve. This is a huge opportunity for them to make a lot of those steps before you get into ACC play, because when we get to conference play, that's the games that matter the most. If we're talking ACC championship, not even Dulu land, this is real. We need to get, focus, really quickly here. So again, huge opportunity to improve a lot of these things. And I'm really interested to see, the defense come out again, the way they've been playing consistently. If they even just, improve a little bit, I'm telling you, they're a lockdown defense, the way they've been playing. And then again, special teams, I think, I'm sure you guys have the same concerns as me, but none of those questions or concerns were answered last Saturday.
They made a field goal.
That's the one answer.
Sure
they had a punt. They pinned a punt inside the 5.
Sure.
Yeah, Liam Connor. Shout out to him coming in. Bill O'Brien giving him the high five. That was. It seems like they're probably going to use him in shorter yard situations because he's got experience, obviously in the kicking game. But that seems like just an inconsistent part of their game right now. I don't know.
Totally agree.
Jack, did you?
I was just saying. What was that?
No, did you give your prediction?
Yeah, I said 35-16.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm such an asshole. I apologize.
Yeah, we're 90 minutes in here. I get it.
Before I want to get Jack's, couple minutes on this BC basketball.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. But before we dive into this, because all
Jesus Christ,
the sickos watching are dying for ball talk from Jack. Can I just shout out again the fans and the students? I obviously was, in the comfortability of the press box that night, but after Max Tucker made that play, guys, the press box was shaking, like almost to a level in which you're kind of in fear because of, thank God alumni's got good structure, but literally we were shaking up there. I've never seen something like that, especially even in the rain with all the muddled noise. Again, huge shout out to the fans. Again, I just wanted to make that last call for the BC football fans.
Jack.
Yeah.
Cook.
This is your time.
No, well, anyone who's still listening to the podcast at this point surely knows how Boston Celtics legend Isaiah Thomas was looking for some runs in the Boston area. So of course, where else would he go except for Boston College? So it was cool to see him kind of interacting with the students and the players there. I wish there was some more eyewitness videos on the ground, but it looked like a pretty cool kind of a little mini event there. It kind of seemed more like a pickup game than any sort of serious practice that you would have big takeaways from. But even though it's cool to see, I saw a video of Luka Taze getting a bucket on Isaiah Thomas, which is pretty cool. He's no first team all defender, but pretty cool seeing our freshman get a bucket over him. In other news, ACC, the full ACC schedule comes out 8:00 tomorrow, so we'll have the full BC basketball schedule. They did release the openers, so BC plays Wake Forest away to open up their ACC play, so they'll have a pretty good back-to-back because they play South Carolina in the ACC SEC on, I think that's the Friday or Saturday before, and then they have Wake Forest that next whatever that day of the week is, a few days later. So they're out of conference schedule. To remind people, isn't very competitive. They should win around 7 games.
No true away games either, right?
For out of conference, no, because they have either hosting Citadel, hosting VCU, hosting Temple, and then they have the MTE in, I forget where it was.
It's like in the Virgin Islands or something.
I think something like that. But
nice,
I don't think they have either 0 or 1 true away games. So that'll be hopefully favorable. And then and then this time tomorrow we'll know the full ACC schedule. I'm sure there'll be much discussion as to whether they'll qualify for the ACC tournament this season, because not everyone makes it anymore, which is a damn shame. But I think they could surprise some people this year. I think they'll have a strong out of conference performance, and then it's a whole new team, so we'll see which guys step up this year. We're only we're only like 5 or 6 weeks away from November 4th, the opener. So it'll be here before you know it.
Jack's excited. You sleeping tonight?
Am I sleeping tonight?
Yeah, you're gonna sleep, or you're just gonna stay up in anticipation?
Yeah, I did watch the Miami BC highlights from last night, so might throw those on again, but we'll see.
Will the Duke game be over Christmas break or not?
Man, I hope not, because I would love to go to that game. Because Cooper Flagg, number one NBA draft pick, likely number one NBA draft pick, will be in the building.
Jack, I have a question about the schedule for the basketball release tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Is it like pretty well known who we're playing, or is it like very much like, no, this is a big deal tomorrow? Like we really don't know how tough our conference schedule is going to be.
They announced their home opponents, I think. They announced their home and away opponents, so they know who they're playing, I think.
We know everybody. But I know all the opponents. We just don't know the dates.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just going to say one other thing just to add on the basketball front. Danye Abrams getting the role with the team is huge.
Yes.
I don't know if everybody in the community knows like how impactful he is. And obviously he was a stud here, but previously on Radio Row, he was doing the color commentary on the radio call. Now going to be what's the exact title of his role? I mean, he's
director of roster management, I think, or something like that. Similar to the Burge role on the football team. I went to the BC Career Fair last Friday. Some of the sickos came up to me. We were talking ball for a little bit, and one of the managers that I'm good friends with, he was talking about how Danya is like quiet, like not even quietly. He's just like, it's just a really good hire, one that's like kind of necessary in where. So I think it's definitely a good shout out by Haas there. So I think that'll be good. This year and going forward.
That's more or less like a GM, correct? More or less.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what his role is going to be. Likely managing things like with the recruiting and the portal. That's what I'd imagine it to be.
That's huge.
I mean, he'd be a good guy to have on, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have met him before. He's just so personable, and he just knows everybody. He walks into Alumni Stadium to call games on the radio, and everybody says what's up to him. Like he's that guy that is going to be incredible for prospective student athletes, current student athletes to see, because he's done it. He's been here, done it, and he was a stud. So
Sweet 16, right? Wasn't he on the Sweet 16 team or the Elite 8 team? Excuse me.
Elite 8.
It goes back to though, like what we're talking about with BC football and Blake James understanding the off the field stuff is so big and how much it affects the team. With the Burge hire as the GM, he takes care of recruiting, he takes care of like the off field logistics. Who's family is getting to the game, all those things that the coach then with Grant can just like focus on the ins and outs and the X's and O's. I mean, that's such a big deal, and it takes your program up to the next level, especially with NIL, the transfer portal, all of that. So that's a massive get for the basketball program.
Yeah, I mean this year at least, tons of like roster turnover. You lose pretty much all your top 6 scorers, but for seasons going forward, that's going to be massive in terms of Earl doesn't have to keep an eye on the portal as much. Like he's got a guy for that now, so that's definitely going to be huge. In seasons going forward.
That'll do it for the latest segment of Believe in BC Hoops. Throwback.
Little teaser trailer.
Yep. Good.
I love it, Jack. Thanks for that.
In a minute. Final thoughts? Don't all go at once.
Want me to end? I'll end my thing. Do you want me to play my 60-second thing from the post game on Saturday? Because I think this is the quote that everyone kind of resonated with. We're talking about how does this team improve? How do they bounce back? We were down a touchdown at
another
half.
level.
How do we get to that next level? And if you're concerned about that, we have the right coach, guys. Bill O'Brien went into that halftime and chewed out his players and coaches and even himself. And this was my question post-game, basically going into halftime. What was your what did you say to the players? And this was his response, basically.
Coach, being down halftime, what did you say to your players at halftime, and any adjustments? You talked about that a little bit.
I can't repeat what I said to the player. I have to go to confession. I was upset with coaches and players at halftime, to be honest. I was upset with myself. I was upset with the staff. I was upset with the players. And I just little Irish temper came out. And I think these guys, like, they work so hard. I want them to play clean football. And I didn't think we played clean football. And I thought the defense did a really good job of keeping us in the game. We're only down a touchdown. We should have been down more. I'm sure that Coach Smith is saying that in his presser right now. Like, we should have taken advantage some of those plays we had in the first half because our defense kept us in there, holding the field goals, and really were kind of a little bit bend but don't break. And then we got it going in the second half. It was a dogfight, no doubt about it. Great game.
Another level.
Bill O'Brien, guys, he's calling out all the criticisms that we have. He has it even more. He's calling out his players. He's getting them to a certain standard and another level, like Brett just said. So that's what gives me all the confidence in the world going into Saturday.
My final thought has to be another home game and another opportunity for the fans to show love. And it's family weekend. I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but it's there's going to be an awesome atmosphere on campus with families of current students, past students, alumni alike on campus, which will be really neat. I'm not sure if you guys have been to Pops on the Heights before, the night before, but it's really a fabulous weekend. And I think our team does an awesome job of doing programming. So to have the football game at noontime in the middle of it all is going to be phenomenal. And my last piece that I will say is we are, besides being America's team, that you guys called out, we are the best football team in Massachusetts, best football team in New England. So
yes. Yep.
I think that is good. That trend is going to continue. I know the Patriots won week 1 and they've come back down to earth now after a couple of weeks later, but I think that there is something to say about that. I think there's been talk on sports talk radios in Boston here about BC and what's going on, Bill O'Brien, obviously that notoriety is happening. But I do think there is something to be said about that and that the brand is continuing to grow, and that's a very exciting thing.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to what Haas just said. Like he said, the brand is growing, both nationwide, but especially New England. That's, huge for a game like this for your home 12 o'clock kick, weekend like Parents' Weekend. I say this, my final takeaway is this is just a game where you got to take care of business. You're not playing Duquesne, but you're playing a team that you should handle. And I think Coach O'Brien is going to have the guys ready for this, especially after kind of the mistakes that we saw against Michigan State. So I think, final takeaway is just control this game in every aspect and just go 1-0 in the week.
To build off all that, it's incredible to really just see. I'm like at a loss for words because rooting for this team or following this team for the past couple of years has been very tiring, at times not very rewarding. And to see special moments like Saturday and, to see that it's not really like a flash in the pan moment. And this team's really building up to something. I have a lot of friends that I grew up with that judged me for how much that I followed this team and how passionately. And there was a couple of them that were at the game, and even they're saying that they're, on the bandwagon now. That tells me that people are really starting to take notice. There is something special going on here. There is something that's changing around here. I think the perception of BC overall is transforming right before our eyes. It's really cool to be able to see that too. The other thing I want to say, I started doing this podcast 2022 with another friend of ours who does Patriots now. I went to the Red Bandana Game back then and hung flyers with like a QR code all around alumni and the campus and everything else. No one knew who the hell I was. No one listened to the podcast, really. A couple of people. I had multiple people come up to me on Saturday, and it's amazing to see that like people are listening to this show and people know who we are and people are actually, taking the time. And it's an incredible incredibly humbling situation to have someone actually come up and say like, hey, like I had one guy say, I listen to every single show. You guys do an incredible job. And to me, that's just like, it's the ultimate compliment, because like that's what we do it for, right? Like we do it for the listeners and for other people's enjoyment. And I know we joke around on here a lot and goof, but at the end of the day, we are all passionate about this. I think we all believe in this, and to really kind of witness that people actually, there's actually eyes on it, it's incredibly humbling. So thank you to the listeners. Thank you to everyone who's continued to support us. Thank you to you guys as well. This show is not anything, without the three of you. I love you guys. I love, the BC community. And that's all I got too. So with that, episode 8, the Matthew Reeves Show, in the books. Catch you guys Saturday, and go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Don't give me dark days, I already had those. I'm just trying to figure out how to be myself right now. I don't wanna lay low, hiding in the shadows. So I wake up, I get out of bed and stay up. Stay out of my head, it's dangerous. And I don't wanna lose my mind, no. Wake up and I stay up, 'cause I'm sure good things are happen if I get out of my way. I just wanna shine like the sun when it comes up. Run the city from the rooftops. Today's gonna be my day. I just wanna climb to the top of a mountain. Stand tall when I'm howling. Today's gonna be my day.
Having an IT partner you can trust is more important than ever. New Charter Technologies delivers local IT support backed by a nationwide team, making sure you're covered, especially in times of uncertainty. We protect your data with advanced cybersecurity, offer round-the-clock support, and provide strategic guidance that not only drives your business forward, but also helps you sleep at night. Visit New Charter Technologies at itdreamteam.com to get a complimentary cybersecurity review to see where you really stand. That's itdreamteam.com.
Hey parents, Greenlight is here to take one big thing off your to-do list, teaching your kids about money. With a Greenlight debit card and money app of their own, kids and teens learn to earn, save, and invest. You can send money instantly, set flexible controls, and get real-time notifications of your kids' money activity. Set up chores and put allowance on autopilot to reward them for their hard work. Then learn about the world of money together. Get 1 month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/podcast.
Bingo.
All right, Phil, we're recording now, so it's live. Go ahead. Pick on me the way that you want to.
Did I say that? I would say that to my son. Man, I mean, come on, man.
Just go. This isn't CBS.
All right, be quiet for a few seconds. Why would people want to listen to the Sims Complete podcast? Well, a couple things. One, if you like to see sons pick on their father, this might be the place. If you want to see a place where the father just kicks the out of his son, this would be the place. What do you like about it, Matt?
Ditto. Father-son dynamic duo talking about the game of football that we love and share and appreciate together. And, you know, hey, it's an extension of what we did, right? Growing up, I was able to watch my father play football, then obviously watch him as a broadcaster. And then he taught me the game of football and share the wisdom that he learned throughout his playing career. And, you know, hey, sometimes we're full of it and sometimes we actually know a thing or two.
Well, we do a lot of research. At least I do. You're a little spotty, but you know, you hang in there. It's fun. I love doing this and it's been awesome.
Sims Complete. Check us out wherever your podcasts are available on the Believe Network. Appreciate it. See ya.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.